Good morning. As someone who's lived in Simcoe-Grey all of my life and who has traveled to every corner of our riding, it has always been very clear to me that you simply get the best advice from ordinary Ontario families that work hard and play by the rules. It was that kind of family that I was lucky enough to grow up in. But sadly, that kind of family no longer seems to be on the list of Dalton McGuinney's priorities. He believes he has a more intelligent understanding of what Ontario families need. Every day, families are telling me that they are struggling to keep up, that the opportunities Ontario once offered are fading, and despite all they pay in taxes, their government just isn't working for them any longer. Now Dalton McGuinney, his priorities are different. While families are feeling forgotten by his government, he is preoccupied with his expensive energy experiments, endless tax grabs, and constant meddling in everything from bake sales to plastic bags. That's why I am seeking the advice and ideas of my top advisors, the 125,000 people who make up the families of Simcoe-Grey. Have Your Say Ontario is the largest consultation with families that this riding has ever seen, with over 50 questions strong. I'm calling on families from Thornbury to Tottenham, Collingwood to Colgan, New Tecumseh to New Lowell, and from Elmville, Edenville, and Essa, and every other village, hamlet, and town in our riding, to give me their thoughts on the future of our province and our riding. From the environment to taxes and education, I want to hear what families have to say about how Ontario can move forward and how we can give them the break that they need to put their household budgets back in order. This survey will be arriving in mailboxes this week, and I look forward to all of the feedback and advice we receive from every corner of the riding. The guidance I receive from constituents through this survey will add to the opinions expressed during my recent telephone town hall meeting. Using that new technology, we connected with over 4,000 constituents in 1 hour. It was an opportunity for me to inform constituents of what I've been working on at Queen's Park. Some of those issues included local issues like supporting Georgian Bay's apple growers who were devastated by last year's tornado, helping the Simcoe County Children's Aid Society get necessary funding so they could continue to provide care and support for children in need, fighting against cuts to the underserviced area program that used to provide needed funding to local hospitals for physician recruitment, advancing the concerns of local farmers who have been pleading with the government to bring in a business risk management program that works. I not only introduced a resolution to do just that, we also debated it and gained strong support from the Ontario Cattlemen's Association, most commodity groups, and farm organizations. I went to bat for people in municipalities concerned by industrial wind and solar farms being built without any local say. My party has now adopted my long-standing position that these projects only be built in places where they are welcomed and wanted and at prices ratepayers can afford. I've started a petition for local MS patients and their families who have been simply asking the government to give them a chance for an improved quality of life. They've asked for clinical trials for liberation therapy and for Ontario to at least allow the procedure to take place in this province. These people are looking for hope, and I've been supporting them. I continue to advocate for Simcoe County paramedics who have asked me to help to merge their pension assets. We won the battle to get the legislation changed earlier this year, and now we continue to push the government to bring in the final regulations required to allow asset transfers. On the provincial level, I fought hard against skyrocketing hydro rates, the $3 billion HST tax grab, and the eco-tax that is, to this day, still being charged on electronics just in time for Christmas. When the McGuinney government announced it would spend $30 million to give lucrative $40,000 per year scholarships to foreign students, Tim Hudak and I stood up and launched a province-wide campaign to put Ontario students first. I spoke up at Queen's Park when we learned that the McGuinney government had mistakenly released 143 prisoners from Ontario's prisons. I called the Premier out on his refusal to tell families what happened and whether these people had ever been recaptured. And when the Windsor Hospital just recently was handing out smokes to patients, I spoke out loudly and said hospitals should be providing tender loving care, and if they need to, a bowl of soup and a sandwich given to patients, not cigarettes that they couldn't even tell me weren't contraband. There are many other issues we've been working on and many untold stories, but the telephone town hall was more an opportunity to get feedback, and I want to speak to one of the issues that we heard about. On that town hall, 56% of the more than 4,000 people who participated told me that their family is affected by the closure of medical laboratories in Tottenham, Stayner, and Elmville. Over the past 3 months, we've fought very hard on behalf of those families, and I'm happy that we have earned the restoration of services in Tottenham, but I'm not going to be satisfied until the labs are opened permanently in Stayner and Elmville too. I'm not going to stand by and watch an erosion of health services in our riding. These issues are paramount. As I've often said, if my parents didn't have the option to go to the Alliston lab in their latter years, there would have been many times when they wouldn't have been able to go to another town to get the tests they needed. I've been in battles like this before, and I don't get into them to lose. When my constituents were forced to travel to Toronto for dialysis treatment, we fought hard for a very long time against the inaction of the previous NDP government, and we won when we eventually changed the government. That battle fundamentally changed how dialysis services were delivered in this province, and it enabled me to bring dialysis services to Collingwood and Alliston. When the McGuinty government allowed the Alliston Hospital to close its birthing unit, we fought hard and held rallies that were so big that the health minister at the time, George Smitherman, came up to me after question period one day and said, "Jim, I give up, you win." The birthing unit was reestablished. In fact, we fought so hard that we even managed to get the government to backtrack to the point where they even threw in a new CT scanner for the Alliston Hospital, just to calm the community down. It's the same sort of persistent effort that allowed me to secure the funding for the redevelopment of the Collingwood General and Marine Hospital many years ago, and helped more recently to build cancer centres in Barrie and Newmarket. So I'm asking constituents to stick with me, keep sending me petitions and emails, and keep talking to your neighbours, because I'm not backing down. If we have to, we'll fundamentally change how medical laboratories operate in Ontario, just like we did with dialysis. In exactly 296 days, Ontario families will have their say in a different kind of survey for the next provincial election. And let me be perfectly clear, we will give families a clear choice between the tired and out-of-touch government they have now and a PC government that's focused on real tax relief, getting government focused on the basics, and making job creation a priority. And if Dalton McGuinty wants to fight a local election campaign here in Simcoe-Grey over these medical lab closures and cuts to frontline healthcare services, I say bring it on. Thank you.